Let's just start it over. Hello, welcome to 5120 News. My name is Richard Agurrie, and we are coming to you live from the Creative Tucson studio in downtown Tucson for a take two. Today is Thursday, September 28th. Let's talk local headlines to begin. The Tucson-based Center for Biological Diversity filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration this week over the issue of the Rosemont Mine, an open-pit copper mine in Santa Rita Mountains, about 30 miles south of Tucson. The environmental organization wrote in its filings that the United States Fish and Wildlife Services failed to comply with the Endangered Species Act and Administrative Procedure Act. They say that officials issued a biological opinion outlining the potential effects that the 955-acre mine would have on more than a dozen species, including the endangered northern jaguar. The document led to the United States Forest Services signing off on one of two permits to being the operating mine. The center says that the Forest Service unlawfully relied on the biological opinion because the agency redefined regulations over the destruction of the habitat and changed the designation of critical habitats for the jaguar. In August, environmental groups sent a letter to federal courts warning that they would challenge the Forest Service decision. These groups included the Center for Biological Diversity, Save the Scenic Santa Ritas, Arizona Mining Reform Coalition, and the Grand Canyon chapter of the Sierra Club. They said that the Rosemont mine would significantly impact a number of endangered species and their remaining habitat, including one of the three known wild jaguars in the United States. A jaguar nicknamed El Jefe has been seen in the area, along with another jaguar who has been named Sombra. In the lawsuit, the center said that the mine would affect over 5,000 acres of Colorado National Forest, including, that's Coronado National Forest, including hundreds of acres used as a dumping site for more than 1 billion tons of waste rock. The mine would also include hundreds of acres of fencing that would further present a permanent barrier to wildlife movement. In addition to the jaguars, the mine would also harm the endangered ocelot and severely downgrade the habitat for over a dozen endangered species, including the Gila chub and the Chiricahua leopard frog. They also said that the mine would consume up to 4.8 million gallons of fresh water per day. Much of it is supplied by wells in the Santa Cruz Valley, affecting water supplies of the Sahuarita and Green Valley, according to the center. The Rosemont mine is owned by Canadian mining company Hudbay. It would produce about 5.88 billion pounds of copper and 80 million pounds of silver. Hudbay officials say that no species are endangered and that now the Gila chub will be colored a pretty silver hue. So that mine is 30 miles south of Tucson, and I've never heard of it.
I only heard of it last summer, actually. Okay. One of my former students, high school students that I had, brought it up to me. He was like, "What do you think about the Rosemont mine?" And I was embarrassed. I'm like, "I don't know anything about it." And he was giving me all this information on it. But apparently,
look at you now.
Look at me now, right? I know everything.
You know everything.
Yeah, but apparently, in that area, the Green Valley area, it's a pretty big issue because people don't want it there. They're worried about It's almost approved. So it was approved. It needs to be approved by 2 agencies, and it's approved. Not there yet. It's there physically, but they haven't quite started. They're ready to shovel ready, but they need one more approval. But the way,
pretty sure there's some stuff down.
Yeah, and that it's going to pollute the area, pollute the water, all kinds of effects on that. I mean, they said it would account for about 11% of the copper, so it's like an enormous mine.
Yeah.
So who knows what the effects of that will be.
What was the leopard, the endangered leopard?
Yeah, the Chiricahua or something like that?
It was like
frog leopard.
Desert. No, that was
the Gila chub. Is that what you mean?
No, it was the actual. No, it was the jaguar. What was the jaguar?
Oh yeah, so that's where they've been. Have you seen the jaguar? They've.
No.
Oh okay, so
what is it called? A desert jaguar?
I don't know if there's a specific name to the Jaguar. I don't know.
I
Not sure.
thought there was a specific name, and I was like, oh, I want that to be my new nickname. And then I forgot.
El Jefe, you mean? So so they've seen these two jaguars, which are super rare, but I guess he crosses through Mexico and the U.S. and there's been the sightings of it have been actually cameras that are just set up there by the agencies. They have just cameras that observe things, and they've caught this jaguar there, and everyone was freaking out.
Yeah, I had no idea there was desert jaguar.
Yeah, they didn't think there was any more either. It's kind of like this super surprising thing, and now that they're like coming back, it's like now you have the potential to kill them off now. So that's what they're worried about. Yeah. The question is, do you know what a Gila chub is?
No.
It's a fish.
Oh. Really?
Yeah, I had to look it up. I didn't know what it was.
In just like ponds.
It's only it's in the Gila River. I guess it's like the only place that it
What
exists.
is that mine in Marana? What is that? Or like south of Marana.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not sure what that one's called.
I got no idea. Every time I drive, I go, "What's that?"
Yeah.
And then I pass it, and then I forget about it forever.
Yeah, mining's it's a big business around here, but you can only dig so much in the ground, right? I don't know.
My short attention span.
There you go.
Okay. Nearly 36 House Democrats, including Arizona Republican Ruben Gallego and Raul Grijalva, have asked a judge to reject the pardon of former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio.
It gets his name really.
Yeah, my body was like, this is a toxin. The group of 33 congressmen filed a friend of the court brief on Wednesday in Phoenix, arguing that the August 25th pardon was unconstitutional. Trump pardoned Arpaio after he was convicted of misdemeanor contempt of court for disobeying a judge's order. The judge had ordered Arpaio to disband his Citizen Posse group, which was accused of racially profiling within Maricopa County. Arpaio faced a possible six-month. Jesus.
It's him, I'm telling you.
Arpaio faced a possible 6-month jail sentence for the conviction, but was pardoned by Trump before he could serve a day. 3 other legal advocacy groups also asked Judge Susan Bolton to declare the pardon invalid or unconstitutional. Arpaio's attorney filed papers early this month asking that the other group requests be denied. The Department of Justice also filed papers on September 11th, agreeing with Arpaio's lawyers that the conviction should be overturned. They probably could have picked a better day to support a renowned racist and a lawbreaker, but hey, you do you. September 11th.
Yeah. Tough day. They actually were like late on that too. They were supposed to like give it to them the week before, but they waited a few days.
So there's some pushback to
Trump's. So what I didn't realize is that a pardon can be overturned.
Yeah.
But this judge, I thought that was over. I thought once he pardoned him, that was kind of the end of the deal.
Like little checks and balances going on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, which I didn't realize even existed. I always thought a pardon was a pardon, but apparently they can still uphold his criminal charges. Yeah. So he wouldn't go back to jail, but it would be like on his record. So that's kind of how it's going to go. Mm-hmm. So I think you should. They're not really giving any particular reason why the charges should be thrown out, other than they think they should. That's like their argument is like they should throw them out. I mean, he broke the law. It's pretty clear. I mean, at the very least, it should be on his record, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But they're playing the whole he's an old man, kind of leave him out of it sort of thing too.
He would just die in jail.
Yeah, even though he was supposed to only go to jail for 6 months.
Really?
That's 6 months. He would have been
Why did we even waste a pardon on it?
That's the question, right? Yeah, 6 months. He'd be in and out of there. He'd probably be in one of those country club jails anyway.
Jeez Louise. That's such a waste of a pardon.
Yeah, it's to gather his base. They love that stuff.
Well, I did not know it was only 6 months.
Yeah, that's it. I know.
We're learning. House leaders are geared up to vote on a bill introduced by Arizona Representative Trent Franks that will prohibit abortions in most cases after 20 weeks of pregnancy. Franks has introduced the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act, which just rolls right off the tongue. 3 times before, and the bill has failed each time. On Tuesday, Franks held a press conference where he said, "It is all time for all of us to be honest with ourselves and with each, and ask the real question, does abortion on demand really kill little human babies?" End quote. Taylor Tucker of Planned Parenthood said that the bill met the same fate as earlier attempts, saying that the courts are the last line of defense against this increasingly dangerous legislation. Tucker claims that the real agenda is to ban abortion completely, and that politicians like Franks are emboldened by the Trump administration. Frank's bill would ban abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy, except in cases of incest, rape, or to save the mother's life. The 20-week mark was chosen because, according to the bill, at least this is the point when the fetus can feel pain. However, this claim has been repeatedly challenged by medical professionals. A similar law was approved in Arizona in 2012, but was struck down as unconstitutional by the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. In 2013, the court ruled that the law infringed on women's rights to an abortion, established in the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. While most in Congress don't think they'll have the votes to pass the bill, Franks remains optimistic and, as usual, obsessed with abortion. Franks claims that a majority of Americans support banning abortions after 20 weeks, citing his weekly bowling league as proof. So, let's get into this. 20 weeks is 5 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's saying, so where is it now? Where is the...
It's 12 or 13. I need to look that up. That's a good question.
Wait, so it's younger than that? So he's trying
Fact checker?
Is he trying to extend it?
So he's trying to make it, so I should look this up. It's probably a bad time. So he's actually looking to, so I said the wrong number there. So no, he's making it 20 weeks. So now, so he's trying to make it, you wouldn't be able to get one, I'm blanking on phrasing this here.
So he's trying to make it to where you can get an abortion longer into the term.
No, opposite.
He's trying to make it shorter.
Yes.
Okay, so he's trying to make it, like, so he's like somewhat acting on an anti-abortion agenda.
Extremely, yeah, yes, yeah. So I wish I had the number right now. I don't have it at the top of my head, but I'd be able to tell you. So yeah, so that 20 weeks thing is what they say. It's not really based on any sort of real science, but
yeah, we got to pick somewhere.
Yeah, to where it feels pain. I mean, it's hard to determine when anyone feels pain. Really,
yeah,
pain's such a subjective thing.
Back to 13 or
20.
Push it back to 20. So right now it's past 20.
Yeah,
it would have to be.
I'm trying to think, 24 maybe or something. Okay. Yeah, I can't think about the top of my head.
Now it seems like he's splitting hairs with this one.
Yeah, the thing is,
that's how I feel about it.
The main thing too is, like, the Supreme Court already said it was unconstitutional. Yeah. So it's like you're going to pass the same law that's already been made unconstitutional.
This is his third time.
Yeah, so it's just going to be struck down again. So it really, when it comes down to it, it doesn't even matter how you feel about the subject, you know, but it's a waste of everyone's time because it's going to get struck down again.
Find something else to do. Do something else. Waste your own time.
You know, try and convince people why it's wrong. Somebody that's going to have it, if that's your thing. You know, I mean, there's other ways.
That one. That's the definition of insanity.
Doing the same thing.
Over and over
there you
again,
go.
Getting the same results.
Again, it's just, you know, a lot of these laws they're passed just to kind of get support from people.
Trent Franks is insane.
Oh yes.
There it is.
There we go. That's our campaign.
Oh, jeez.
Franks is insane.
All right, should we do the next one?
Sure, let's do it.
Arizona Senator John McCain is calling for Congress to fully repeal the Jones Act in order to get supplies to Puerto Rico. The Jones Act, which is... the Trump administration announced this morning that they would suspend the law for 10 days to allow more supplies to reach Puerto Rico. However, only a small percentage of the supplies have been delivered because a truck driver shortage on the island. Puerto Rican officials say that only 20% of the island's truck drivers returned to work following the hurricane and can't be reached due to downed cell towers. McCain wrote a letter to the Department of Homeland Security asking them to analyze how long-term a waiver or a repeal of the law would affect the nation. In the letter, he called the law archaic and said that the decision to not waive the act would impact the worsened condition in Puerto Rico following Hurricane Maria. The Jones Act was passed in 1920. Here we go. And requires goods shipped from the United States mainland to Puerto Rico to be sent on ships built and owned by Americans. McCain said that the restrictive law has driven up prices on the island. In the letter, he wrote that It is unacceptable to force the people of Puerto Rico to pay at least twice as much for food and clean drinking water, and supplies, and infrastructure due to the Jones Act requirements. End quote. The Pentagon reported on Tuesday that 80% of the island is without power and that 44% is without clean water. In a separate letter, the Arizona Senator Jeff Flake called on the president to remove another old law called the Davis-Bacon wage mandates. This law set the pay scale for workers within a certain area and was passed in the early 1900s also. He said that the law would allow people in Florida and Texas to take advantage of the system during recovery operations and waste billions of tax dollars. Yeah, you're right. McCain is a much better senator. So,
this has been a big issue today because obviously what Puerto Rico's going through right now. So, as you said, the law basically the ships have to be made in the U.S. And actually, I was just reading something right before here that's pretty interesting. So that's the law. So they're trying to at least. So what the Trump administration said is for 10 weeks, 10 days rather, they're going to waive the law.
Yeah.
So whatever ships can send supplies over.
Yeah.
Now, of course, they have the problem of what to do once the supplies get there because of this whole truck driver thing, which they're going to have to figure out. But what McCain's saying is that we should just repeal the law altogether. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because every time, let's say there's another hurricane in Puerto Rico next year or 2 years
go
or
through
5
the
years.
whole thing again.
Exactly. It's just bureaucratic stuff that slows it down.
Bureaucratic red tape.
Exactly. There you go. Good.
Yep.
What I was reading is the main reason why they've kept it in place is there's a lobbying group that controls the shipping. Of course, it's a shipping industry.
Yeah.
So they've been saying it's a national security
So
thing.
they benefit from the law.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because they sort of have a monopoly on the
Exactly.
shipping. So they're saying it's a national security thing, that if we have other countries running our ships, they're going to put terrorist bombs in the ship or whatever. So
Which sounds, that's a really good excuse.
it's a great excuse.
It's a
yes.
great
Yeah,
excuse.
at first thought it makes sense, but in other words, you can.
Yeah.
It
When
probably,
you look at it closer, it is kind of it's a dumb law.
yeah, exactly. For
it's a
times
dumb
like this, if we didn't have an island that for some reason was part of our country,
Yeah.
it's a whole other issue.
Well, if you look at it in any other way, like there's plenty of exports being shipped all over, and nobody's like, hey, is that an American boat? Is that an Italian boat?
Right,
It doesn't matter. It's a boat,
Something's imported here,
and it's got rice on it and stuff. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so there you go. So why is it any different? So it's obviously
Because we made that one law
right in
100 years ago.
1920 exactly that no one
Mm-hmm.
thought about until yesterday.
Puerto Rican people need help right now.
Yeah, they do, and it should just they're part. It's as if Hawaii, something happened to Hawaii, Alaska, any of these states, it wouldn't.
So
even
everyone's got to put their suit and tie on and go argue for weeks before we can just send.
do anything exactly. Yeah,
it's just kind of silly.
Yeah, it is. They said today they might not have electricity for 6 months.
Jeez.
6 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting because a lot of the people there are probably going to have to come here, and that's going to create. You know how welcoming we can be sometimes. So should be fun.
Oh wow, that's a mess.
I know.
That's a mess. We'll have to watch that one.
Yeah.
This is a good one. This one's my favorite. I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the program you're watching right now. Here at 5 on 20 News, we're undertaking a new kind of citizen journalism. We're going to give you the news as we see it, as he sees it. And we want more people to speak up with us. We need everything. Writers, hosts, anchors, camera people, sound people, the whole gamut. The times require a new way of informing ourselves, so join us. Do it now. Email us at creativetucson.org to get involved. That's creativetucson.org. And if you think there's a story we're missing, a person we should interview, an upcoming event we should cover, or have any news tips for us at all, shoot us an email at creativetucson.org. We're here from you, we're here for you, and we want to cover all stories from all points of view, so don't be a stranger. When's that meeting?
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, that's probably a good time to.
Yeah.
So we're going to be off the air next week.
Yeah.
And we've got a big meeting Tuesday that we're holding. We want everyone to come and meet us and figure out.
What time is that meeting?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock in the Brink studio.
Yep, right here.
Google Brink. And come on down Tuesday at 6.
It's 1100 South 6th Avenue.
Yep.
It's the building. It says KY on the front for some reason.
Yep.
And Brink Supermarketing. Yeah, come on by, meet us, and yeah.
And there is KY in the back.
There is, exactly. We're gonna unlimited supply.
Now come down, come get involved Tuesday.
Please do.
And let's move on to national and international news. National and international news. Your headphones make it look like you have a ponytail, like a long. Yeah.
Okay, just come to the meeting and you'll find out if it's a real ponytail.
Okay. House Republicans are looking to provide $10 billion to start construction on the big, beautiful border wall. Hooray!
Yay!
The House Homeland Security Committee announced that they will begin marking up the border security for America Act on October 4th, which is sponsored by the Republican Michael McCall of Texas. It's called America Act. Mm-hmm. Jeez Louise. The legislation would provide the $10 billion for the funding for the new wall and fence construction, border defense technology, and aerial surveillance like drones. The bill also gives $5 billion to boost security at United States ports of entry, funds an additional 10,000 Border Patrol agents, and expand the use of National Guard troops and border protection, which includes helping with wall construction. The bill has little chance of passing because it would need approval from Democrats, who have been adamant about opposing funding for the wall. But in the meantime, let's break down what we could buy instead with that $10 billion. So this sounds fun. Mm-hmm. I like this. All right. $10 billion. What do you get to? Enough food to feed at least the world's hungry.
A third of the world's hungry.
Did I not read that right?
No, I just didn't put the word third in there.
Typo.
A third of the world's hunger.
Okay.
Done.
We go back down just a little bit? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A third of the world's hungry.
Uh-huh.
That's like 2 billion people.
Yeah, you could just eradicate a third of the world's hunger.
Well, I guess it depends on, I don't have access to how many people are hungry. Because I did a third of the world.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Not a third of the hungry world.
Right.
I don't know who's hungry.
It's pretty alarming when you look at how many people are hungry around the world, though.
Yeah.
It's maybe like 5 billion or something, so that's...
I'm hungry right now. No, I'm just playing. A new water system for Flint, Michigan. Mm-hmm. Oh, that would...
And we'd have plenty left over, too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
That was like, they said it was like $1.5 billion would...
So a new water system for Flint, Michigan and Puerto Rico.
Yes, and it would cover Puerto Rico, too.
Oh, get new water for everyone who's got bad water. Mm-hmm. 2 hardened colliders.
Hadron colliders.
Hadron.
The spinning atom thing where they try to...
I knew it was hadron colliders.
Yeah, try to recreate the Big Bang and see what happens.
Oh, okay, right? Yeah.
Again,
I've read about that.
Yeah, and that's like 4 billion. We'd have plenty left over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the island of Palau.
I don't know if that's true. I just threw it in.
Oh, okay. No, I heard that the island of Palau is not reasonable.
It's a good deal these days.
It's a good investment. With $10 billion, you could also send 100 people to space with the company's Space Adventures. That's
That's true. It's 100 million.
That one's a little more careless, but could do it.
But read the rest, though.
Okay. Which would probably be the best investment since it looks like we might not have time we might not have a lot of time left on Earth.
Right? So maybe.
So 100 people, we could send them up.
Exactly. Find your best 100 people. And be like, and then Earth don't do what we did here.
Yeah.
That's
$10 billion.
Yeah, $100 million.
No, I thought it was 10 billion.
10 billion total. Yeah, 100 million to send somebody to space.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So you can send 100 people.
$10 billion.
$10 billion.
$10 billion.
And there's a number of other things you could do, in terms of fixing up roads.
Mm-hmm. Possibilities are endless.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the couple things about that story, but one of the things is that, so border crossings have decreased. They've shown across the board, there's less arrests on the border. So why are they putting the wall up now? Wouldn't you think this would be, it's almost like if there's less crime, now you start to put more cops on the street. Like it's.
Well, maybe it's just for approval ratings.
Oh yeah.
Like maybe he's just like
totally what it is. Yeah.
100%. Make the bill. It's not going to get passed. Just make the bill. Though.
Yeah, totally. It's like the abortion thing, It's like at least you could say, well, we tried and they didn't.
They're
let
doing
us,
it. It's all pageantry.
Yes.
It's all pageantry.
All pageantry.
That's what
totally.
It is. I mean, it could be. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly right. The one thing too I was thinking of, that they're going to put the National Guard. It's part of that bill was that they were going to deploy the National Guard partly to help construct the wall.
Yeah.
So imagine being like somebody who signs up for the National Guard. You're thinking like, I'm going to go protect my country, and then they have you go build this stupid wall.
Work.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing
I'm building this.
Work. My roommate was all excited about the wall because he's like, they're just gonna put big hiring nets out, and you can get hired and just go build the wall. And they're gonna pay a lot. That's what my roommate. That's my roommate.
It's the construction boom.
Yeah,
they said in the state in Arizona, there's like a huge need for construction workers.
Yeah.
So.
I would
go get a job.
It's got to be so hard to do construction over the summer.
Oh, I know. That's probably why, right? Probably why nobody wants to do it here.
Yeah, nobody wants to do it. That's why. I don't know.
There you go.
All right, should we go to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Republicans released their plan for tax reform yesterday, with the president claiming that it will help the middle class, despite the actual contents of the plan. Pageantry.
Pageantry. Yeah, this is a big one.
The plan represents the wildest ranging tax overhaul in generations and proposes deep cuts in both individual and corporate tax rates. While the plan contains some specific policy changes, a lot of details were left out. Several committees will need to make amendments to mark up the bill before it is put forward for a vote. In a speech yesterday, Trump said that we want a reform that is pro-growth, pro-jobs, pro-worker, and yes, tax reform that's pro-American. So let's pick this thing apart, and let's see if it is pro-everything, just like he says. First of all, the plan would cut the top individual income tax rate from the current 39.6 to smooth 35. The top tax rate is applied to those only making more than $418,000 a year, which, if you weren't aware, is a lot of money. The plan would also decrease the corporate tax rate from 35 to 20%. Nearly slashing the rate in half. That is almost in half. And it would create a new 25% pass-through rate for small businesses that are currently taxed at the individual rate. While it sounds good for small businesses, there aren't any specific as to the size of the company that could take advantage of the rate. This makes it conceivable that wealthy individuals could file as businesses and enjoy their lower rate if the issue isn't addressed in committee. The plan would also end taxes on the profits that multinational companies earn outside the United States and allow the companies to bring back past profits at a discounted rate, which is called reparation.
Repatriation.
Repatriation.
Like patriot.
I was close. Multinationals have long complied that they're double taxed for income made outside the country, leading large corporations such as Apple to stash large supplies of cash overseas. And the perks for the wealthy don't stop there. The proposed would also eliminate the estate tax, also known as the inheritance tax, which only applies to those worth more than $5.5 million. But they did not throw us poor slobs a few bones. Those making $12,000 per year or a couple making $24,000 a year would pay no taxes, which is double the current amount. However, the proposal also gets rid of most deductions, which are normally used by the low income to lower their taxable income. So it pretty much cancels each other out. In addition, the tax rate on the lowest tax bracket would rise from $10,000 to $12,000, essentially raising taxes on the lower middle class. Had enough? Well, let's talk about the cost. Republican lawmakers themselves say that the tax change would cost $1.5 trillion, but a preliminary study by the Conservative Committee for Responsible Federal Budget put the price tag at $2.2 trillion. And how are they going to pay for it? Get this, the tax change will create so much economic growth, like the best, most beautiful growth, and it'll pay for itself. It might sound like a con, but it's actually an insult to cons, because sometimes cons actually fool people.
Yeah, not a good one.
So what, do you want to get into this one?
Sure, yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. So, like usual things that they do, there wasn't a lot of specifics there. It's like kind of, we'll figure it out later sort of thing.
Yeah, that's their move these days.
Yeah, it's their move, like you guys figure it out. So basically, what they're kind of coming out of it there, I guess if you were a marketing agency, this would be like kind of your top sort of branding things that they're saying that's going to allow people who make $12,000 if you're single, or $25,000 if you're a couple, you won't have to pay any taxes. Yeah. So they're saying that it's where it's benefiting the low income.
12,000 or lower.
Or lower, yeah.
Okay.
Or 24,000 if lower, but If you make that now, you're not paying taxes anyway, because you have deductions, you have child tax credits. There's all types of ways that you wouldn't normally pay much or very little taxes on that anyway. So if anything, maybe it's saving them a couple $100 a year. You know, if anything.
Yeah.
At the same time, the stuff that you said at the beginning, right? So the top tax rate, it went to about 40% was 39.6 or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the top tax rate. That's for anyone that's making over $418 million.
Wait, I thought it was $418,000 a year.
Sorry, $418,000. Started to say that.
Yeah.
Per year.
Yeah.
Right, which is
Insane.
insane amount of money.
And that one went down.
That's going down by 4%, which doesn't
Yeah.
sound a lot.
But that's
But you
gonna
think
be,
about out of 400, that's a lot of money. That's a huge chunk of money. But even a bigger chunk is the corporate tax rate, which is going from 35 to 20.
To 20.
Yeah.
So that just means like evil corporations are going to get more evil.
They're getting the bulk of the profits here, and also, so they're saying that the other side of it is that they're going to get rid of a lot of the deductions that these corporations usually use these deductions to bring their rate down.
Yeah.
But a lot of the deductions that they use are still in the new plan. So not only are their rate coming down, their tax rate, but also there's additional deductions that they still can use. So you basically just made them, the ones who were already sort of, I wouldn't say cheating the system, but using the system to lower their taxes.
They're benefiting from the system.
They're benefiting even more now, but in sort of a more kind of like.
And people are always
way.
talking about like the poor people who are like on welfare, EBTs, or that kind of stuff. But nobody ever, like, what about those people? Like, what about the companies who are?
And that's the thing too, is like they say like they leech off the government, but a lot of the really large corporations, they get tax credits, they get tax breaks by states to bring them into the state. But no one criticizes that. I mean, you're benefiting off the government just like that person on welfare, except that you don't really need it as much.
It's a double standard. Yeah, they don't need
totally
it.
Double standard. Yeah.
They're making so much money and they're taking so much bonuses and have such huge salaries.
And they have to go somewhere. I mean, if all 50 states stopped giving them tax breaks, what are they going to do? Like go to another country and like they have to operate somewhere.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen because of all the the swinging door of like employees through government.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a nightmare. So, but we're kind of in this. Our economic system is sort of in this like almost. We're being held hostage by a lot of these big corporations.
Yeah, totally.
They say we're going to come in here, we're going to hire 200,000 people, and we're going to save your economy. It rarely ever works out that way. You know? So it's it's a sad thing, but.
And those are like the major polluters too.
Yeah, exactly, and they they don't clean up. You think this Canadian company, the Rosemont Mine,
and they have all that money too. They got all that money, and you can't clean up after. You can't put some money into cleanup.
Right, exactly, and that's the thing. A lot of these, the CEOs of some of these places make an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
Like some of the largest, there's a pharmaceutical company. The guy makes something like 143 million a year.
Jeez.
And so you have these kinds of amounts, and it's like, wait, so you can't.
The pharmaceutical industry, that's a big one too.
Yeah.
So
totally.
143.
Yeah. So it's.
You went right for the top shelf with your example. Right
I did, yeah. There's others that aren't, but that's, totally. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it's not addressing these kind of bigger problems, I mean, this is, in terms of the overseas thing too, the repatriation, that's been a big issue, is that, these corporations, they're basically pulling their money hostage, is saying they're over, a lot of them register in Ireland, is a big, because they have a low corporate tax rate.
Yeah.
So they keep their money over there, and basically they've been holding it and saying, you need to make a deal with us, and so we can bring our money back tax-free, or else we're just going to hold it overseas.
Yeah, and wasn't Donald Trump quoted like last week saying that that's just good business?
Yeah, he said it's smart. That was in the debate when I think it was with Hillary. I believe it was him versus Hillary, and she called him out on that, and he said, "That's called smart." That was his response to it.
That's our president.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so it's it's using the system, which is what, again, like you said, the people on welfare. That's what they're accused of doing, right? So.
I guess that is smart, like to do that.
Totally, it's smart.
But like, you're supposed to be working for like the people.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's
it's smart in the way like a supervillain's smart.
Yeah, it's supervillain's smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Supervillains are smart, but that doesn't mean they're good. It doesn't mean it's good.
Right. We shouldn't be encouraging that type of behavior. I feel.
Yeah. So. You should be working for people who really need help, not people who don't. Like that's like, let's give this guy a break who doesn't need a break.
There you go. Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
It's like when rich people get free clothes.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
Why does he get free clothes? He's rich. All right.
All right, let's move on. I'm sure we'll be talking about this tax policy thing for a while. It's going to be a big issue.
You know me, I love talking about tax policy.
We get together, we have beers, and we talk tax policy.
Big tax guy. Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosh is suing the Trump administration to try and force it to take action against pollution from out-of-state power plants. Pollution. Nice. We were just talking about pollution.
Yeah, there we go.
In a lawsuit,
this is interesting.
In the lawsuit, Frosh asks that EPA Chief Scott Pruitt require plants in 5 states to use air pollution controls. The suit claims that emission from power plants in surrounding states are polluting Maryland's air and violating the law. He says that Pruitt and EPA have failed to stop the violations and ignored requests for those power plants to comply with the Clean Air Act. Maryland's Republican Governor Larry Hogan directed Frosh to file the lawsuit and also has the support of Ben Grumbles, the state's Secretary of Environment, who worked in the EPA under President George W. Bush. The lawsuit cites research from EPA data to argue that 36 power plants in Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia are violating the Good Neighbor Law. This law requires the plants to use pollution control technology that is already installed at the plants. Frosh says that the plant's pollutions blow into Maryland and reduce the air quality in cities like Baltimore, despite the state's effort to improve the air. Maryland's surrounding states responded to the lawsuit by stating that they would proceed to fart in the state general's face. Direction.
Yeah.
That one.
Good enough. Monty Python.
So the technology's already there.
It's there. It's already installed. That's like the crazy thing about it is like it's already there for them to use, but it's expensive to run the technology.
And this isn't necessarily just nuclear power plant.
No, it's coal-fired.
Okay, I don't know.
Mainly, yeah.
For some reason, when we start talking power plants,
yeah, no, I always think it too, but usually
because
when
it's more exciting.
It
because
is, Homer Simpson
and like the possibility of disaster.
Exactly.
I just think nuclear all the time.
Right. Me too.
So it's coal-fired and
generally like West Virginia, Pennsylvania, those are like big coal states.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, this is me, that they're kind of emboldened because Trump's been very pro-coal, right?
Yeah.
That's like has been his thing. Like we're going to bring back coal. So a lot of these companies feel like they're kind of like, oh, we can get away with doing this. We can save a few bucks by not having to run this new technology that the Obama administration forced upon us. But it's the good neighbor policy. It's like these other states. You have other states around you,
and over there it's packed.
Exactly.
Those
the states are tiny. Yeah. When you compare it to the West, they're all it's a little. Like I'm from Massachusetts, 2 hours you can get through the whole state. New Hampshire, same thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a similar thing where in Maine, right? So Maine's known for like outdoorsy things. It's very kind of clean, but they have some of the most polluted air because it's all coming from New York, Massachusetts, all these states, and so it's kind of like the same situation. That's what Maryland's going through. They're basically surrounded by these coal states. It is, right? Because you're doing your best to clean the air, and it's like
you're just a good. we're Maine.
We're trying to. Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That's not how it works.
Poor Maine.
Yeah, it sucks. So that's what Maryland's going through. So it's tough because now it's like, will the EPA go after coal plants? Probably not now, especially with the guy that's running the EPA right now. He's very friendly to coal, oil industry.
Yeah.
So
man.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to be on, but it is basically like you have a bunch of people just farting at you. And it's like leave me alone. That's so.
Yeah, it's crazy to see like how all of these things actually are like kind of taking form. Like once, like you said, like who is in charge of the EPA and Trump having such a pro-coal agenda, and then everything's kind of like happening.
Right, sure. Like in real terms, like you see that, and it's just like, oh, people, this guy, agency, I could care less. But like when it's impacting like the quality of your air, that's when you start.
Everything is just like kind of touching each other, and one little move here is a move there.
Yeah. Yep. Totally.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Last one, I think.
Yeah?
It's a good one. We actually, it's well, sort of.
Okay. I remember last time we ended on like real depressing.
Real depressing note. It's not depressing, but it makes you think a little bit. Say that much.
Between 2013 and 2016, family income in the United States rose sharply, according to a recent report from the Federal Reserve. This represents a reversal of economic stagnation following the 2008 recession, which lifted lower income families as well as top earners. So when you made that gesture, was it because it's from the Federal Reserve? Like, can you trust their study? Is that?
No, I think they're pretty trustworthy.
Okay.
So it's basically saying like families made more. In 2013 and 2016, families were doing pretty well economically, which is not what we've been hearing. You know, you think hearing some of these guys that the last 3 years have been everyone's on the street now.
Yeah.
But actually, according to this Fed data, which is it's pretty reliable.
Okay.
They basically survey the families.
I just always think Federal Reserve bad.
No, they're pretty decent. I know the end the Fed kind of thing, but
Yeah, and like
generally they're
like, do we have gold? No one knows.
Oh yeah.
Like
well,
that.
I mean, every agency is pretty sketchy when it comes down to it. But this is, it's a pretty straightforward survey that they send to people. They say what they earned. So this one's all right.
Okay.
But it was good news.
The
right?
research contradicts claims by the president that the Obama years caused economic devastation in the United States and families, and undercuts many of Trump's messages about the economy. But even with the good news, income inequality continued to widen. According to the report, among the top 1%, their share of the country's total wealth increased 3.5%, representing nearly 24% of the total United States earning. Okay.
So 1% owns 24% of the country, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty crazy.
Meanwhile, the bottom 90% of household represented decreased by about 50% of the country's wealth. The study came from a survey that the Fed conducts every 3 years to measure income, debt, and other trends among families. It found that median income rose 10% over a 3-year period from 2013 to 2016. The highest growth occurred among families with a high school diploma, whose median and mean income grew 15 and 25%. Median income among families with a college degree only grew about 2%. Net worth among families also rose by 16% to about $97,000 per family. The study also found strong gains for non-white and Hispanic families. Black families' income grew 10%, while Hispanic income grew 15% compared to 6% for white families. The difference accounted for previous higher earnings for white families with less room to grow. Those who lived in cities had a much higher rate of income rate, with city dwellers experiencing an increase of 10% versus 2% of those living in rural areas. Debt also fell for the most part, besides educational debt, which grew over the 3-year period. The percentage of families with retirement accounts also grew by 3% over this time. So in conclusion, Obama ruined America just like Trump said.
It's a lot of figures there, but essentially what it comes down to is that the whole narrative that we've been hearing is that, this America's been struggling, particularly for people who have just a high school diploma, wasn't really true when they kind of crunched the numbers. Actually, the thing that surprised me most was that people who had college diplomas, their incomes rose more slowly than people who had just a high school diploma, which is
weird.
Right, surprising.
It's going to be like entrepreneurial type of
yeah,
things going
maybe
on?
something like that. Yeah,
something.
I think part of it too is like, where do they start from? I think if you're earning a certain amount, say like you're down here and you're up here, well, you have it's harder to
grow.
Exactly.
They had some space to.
It's almost like losing weight, right? If you're like.
Exactly.
If you're like 400 pounds, it's a little easier to shed.
Lose that weight.
Exactly.
Easily.
Versus
but once you get down to like a goal weight, then you're nitpicking.
Definitely. Yeah. So I think it's the same effect, and I think that was with the white, Hispanic, black sort of thing too. Was that whites the
only 6%.
Yeah, only 6% versus Hispanics. I think it was 10% or something like that, or blacks was 10%, and there's
another one was 15.
15. Yeah. There you go. So I think that's what it was, is that leveling off, and I think that's maybe where some of the resentment comes from. Is that we're getting maybe a little more equal in terms of race in some ways, and and then the biggest thing was city versus rural.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing with this past election, right?
So then that just shows that we're not producing anything, kind of?
Sort of. Well, yeah, in a way. And I think in living out in rural areas, just the jobs aren't there.
Yeah.
Things are in the cities, which we all know. I mean, we live in a city.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's tough.
Yeah, that one I guess is a little expected.
Yeah, it's expected, and that's the thing. There's a lot of resentment from people who live in rural areas. But I mean, what are you going to do? I was thinking yesterday about that. And
Resentment from people in rural areas?
yeah, because that's a lot of Trump's base was people living in rural areas. Because they feel like they're being ignored by people who live in the cities.
Yeah.
But how do you fix that problem?
That's why we moved to the cities.
Right. It's
to ignore those people. They're not watching. It's fine.
The thing is, like, how do you fix that? Because one solution, I guess, would be if you brought all these businesses to rural areas, but then you become a city, right? Which is what they don't want to be part of.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I feel like if the jobs aren't there, you move, right? Isn't that what happens?
Or you just don't expect to.
Exactly. You start your own business. I don't know. Yeah. You just deal with your situation. So so it's a weird problem, but yeah, it's pretty surprising. I mean, we should be happy for the most part. Things were a lot better than I think we thought they were.
Yeah, no, that's good. You're right. That was.
Yeah, for the most part, the income inequality thing is crazy, and I don't know.
Well, you know, it is. I mean, it's still America. You know, right? Like you said, the like narrative that we've been handed down is just like a false narrative. Yeah,
totally. It's for sure that like things have been crumbling the past 4 years.
Yeah,
and
Obama ruined the country.
Yeah.
Not really.
Not really if you crunch the numbers, but it's. I guess it's a lot easier to say that.
It's a lot easier to say that without nobody's looking at the facts.
Exactly. If I said
Joel's looking at the facts.
Let's look at the facts, man. Yeah. I mean, you start rattling off numbers and people's eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. If we had like a chart to like point.
Yeah, maybe.
With some bars. Yeah. Then people would be like,
face
what?
At the end.
Yeah.
But I think that's why we're hashing it out now. Right?
Yeah. Joel explains it.
It's all good.
I feel like whenever we do this, it's just like, let's teach Rich about politics.
Well, it's good, right?
It does. I feel I take it all in and I learn.
Exactly.
And I grow.
There we go. Yeah, it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, should we wrap this up?
Let's do it. I know we went long today.
Did we? How are we doing?
45 minutes today.
Nice. We
Check
killed
this
it.
out, right?
This was 5 on 20 News with Richard Agurrie. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, share our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us on social media accounts. Just search Creative Tucson or search 5 on 20. Search Creative Tucson.
Sure, that'll lead you there.
That's what I hear.
There you go.
And feel free to bother us at creativetucson.org. Thanks for watching and stay creative, Tucson.
Don't forget Meeting Tuesday.
Meeting Tuesday.
Yep.
That's Joel.
6 p.m. Be here. See you then. Latest.
That's what I do.
That's
I gotta go now.